I have Rihanna J's Shah'ryar. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but yeah. Anyway, this fragrance, I think it came out in 2023, and I waited, I don't know, like 2 to 3 years until I bought this sample. Although I like the brand a lot, it's just the notes on this fragrance seem to take the brand in a different direction from what I was used to. They hadn't released a fragrance in a while, and so this one came out. I was kind of surprised by the notes because the brand, I feel like what they were releasing at the time was different. I think 2012 they released an oud fragrance and it smelled like actual oud. I think there was or is actual oud in Oud Assam. And it was one of the first decently priced oud fragrances that I can remember. Um, it was challenging, especially during the opening, and it was good. They had another one called Amber Loop, which was one of the better ambers I've smelled. And maybe even to this day, top 10, top 20 ambers I've smelled. They had a leather fragrance that seemed to use real gastorium, or if not real, it was a high quality synthetic. Um, they've had a lot of good fragrances. I wasn't a fan of their florals. Some of their initial release florals or the musk, but the darker amber fragrances are good. But anyway, I figured I'd get this sample and see where the brand's going. And overall, I don't like it as much as the other fragrances earlier, the ambers, but it's decent. And let me read the notes. We have caramel, osmanthus, bergamot, plum, labdanum, oud, vanilla, beeswax, hay, sandalwood, cedar, vetiver, oak moss, and musk. One thing I've been noticing a pattern in fragrances is when there's oak moss, there's musk. It's like they go together, and I usually don't like that combination. It almost comes off as this like dry synthetic musk, like the oat moss works as like this dryness in the musk. I don't know why. I just don't usually like a fragrance. Fragrance is dry down when I see oak musk and musk. I get that a little bit in here, but not too much. So what I get on the opening is it's kind of what you suspect when you see osmanthus, caramel, and oud in a fragrance. I get this like fruity punch, sour candy, almost hookah vibe, a little bit of like a, I guess you could say chocolate plum. I never really, I don't, I actually have some plums, I think, or I did, and I need to smell them, but I don't remember a smell from a plum, but I get this kind of like maybe chocolatey patchouliness. I also get this like burnt note, like a hookah note, some burnt smoke in the opening. I'm usually not the fan of like smoky, burnt vanilla things. It's not as bad as it sounds in here. On Fragrantica, I saw the most compared fragrance to this is Cartier's Amber and Oud. I don't know if I've smelled that one. I might have. I've smelled a lot of that line, and they all smell kind of similar. And it has similarities to the Cartier's Oud line. They smell like they're using a similar oud. Let me see here. Cartier's oud line, I feel like they use maybe a tad of real oud in the beginning, and then the dry down goes more of a synthetic, like uh, cedar smelling type oud, a synthetic. The oud dissipates quickly, the natural oud in Cartier's line. Besides Oud Absolute, I think that one smells like the real deal oud. It looks it too. That one is the only one that has like a hefty dose of natural oud from that line, I think. In Rihanna J's fragrances, including this one that have oud, it smells like the beginning of Cartier's oud fragrances. It smells natural to me. And at the price point Rihanna J charges, it's impressive. I remember it must have been like around 5 years ago now or so. These Rihanna J's, I think they were 140, 150. I think a 50 ml bottle. I think they're all 50 mLs. I think Amber Loop might have a 100 ml option. And they were doing a certain percentage off of their fragrances, which would bring the fragrances down to 120 or 130. And I almost bought Eau de Somme and Amber Loop. I was trying to be careful with purchasing fragrances because at the time, I wanted to kind of use all my fragrances. And I didn't buy them because I thought, I feel like in the future I might not like these type of fragrances because Amber Loop is it has a bit of a cola vibe to me, and that was something at the time I was trying to stay away from. And then Oud Assam, I was just worried I would grow tired of the Oud trend. And in a way, I still like those fragrances, but I prefer others. But what I'm trying to say is that was a good deal, 120, 130. I think now these run, I don't know, 180, something like that. And it's still a decent deal comparatively, right? But anyway, so the fragrance, I got a dry down and an opening here, opening to mid. So the mid, after that fruit punch, sour candy, hookah, chocolate plum, the labdanum comes out a bit more, and it does smell like it kind of gives me Cartier's oud and vanilla vibes if you smelled that, but not as dense. I feel like that one's kind of like dense. There's a bit of a beeswax smell, but it's not pronounced like MFK's Absolute Portal Soir or something like that. But I get the effect of it. I get the effect of it, but the labdanum, the oud vanilla kind of overpowers it a bit. It's blended nice, I think Rihanna J's only made fragrances for her own brand. I don't know if she's like Roja or Olivia Creed and just hires other perfumers. But if she makes her own fragrances, they're good. I feel like that would be a good forum to talk about on base notes, like brand owners that claim to be perfumers, and are they actually, like Dasita, is she the actual perfumer? Rihanna J. I mean, there's so many that sometimes I can tell because it smells like they're just using a pre-built accord from a house, but sometimes they smell good. Like these Rihanna J's smell good. Um, but yeah, I would suspect she's the actual perfumer. So the dry down of this fragrance, it becomes this like smoky labdanum. Smoky labdanum, a bit of vanilla. And then the musk oat moss vetiver kind of do this dry down. Smells like that straight labdanum fragrance from Tyler de Orange, like a bit of that labdanum, not too much. That one's a little too much. Bit of a stickiness in here. The opening of this fragrance kind of reminds me of I don't know, like a bit of Frederick Maul's music for a while and the Moon mixed with the Cartier Oud and Vanilla or Cartier Amber Oud fragrance. Yeah, it kind of smells like a blend of like that hookah osmanthus oud type of fragrances mixed with the Cartier fragrance. The dry down smells like it could be a Cartier oud fragrance. The dry down for sure. I think it's a little more complex than those. Those are often they often feel like two, three notes. But yeah, that's the best comparison I can give you. Like overall, it smells like a Cartier oud fragrance. Maybe if Cartier did it like an oud and labdanum, but the opening you get kind of that like the sweet caramel osmanthus thing a little bit. Overall, it's not a fragrance I would buy. I think a lot of people would like this. I think the natural oud and the labdanum can probably people that typically go for a fragrance like this that might scare them away a bit. And then people that want like a heavy labdanum, natural oud, I think the opening could kind of scare them away. So it's kind of a maybe like a transition fragrance of people that like fruity ouds that maybe want something more challenging. But I don't know. It's a decent fragrance. I just the opening with the fruit punch hookah candy vibes not for me. And I'm also not the biggest fan of oud vanilla and live down on that whole combo. But yeah, I think it's a well-made fragrance, and I'll I'll probably smell Rihanna J's newer fragrances. She's been releasing a lot lately, it seems like. But yeah, let me know if you like this fragrance or which one's your favorite from the brand.